All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to break down the perspective from a pretty startling report that's come out about the rising missile tensions between Iran and Israel. We're going to walk through the claims it makes to really understand this incredibly high-stakes standoff. So, let's start with a question that really gets to the heart of this whole thing. The source we're looking at today frames the entire conflict around this very choice, and it argues that the answer is not nearly as obvious as you might think. So what kicked off this latest crisis, according to the report? Well, it all seems to start with one specific brand new weapon system that has apparently changed the whole game in the region. This is it, the Khyber ballistic missile. The source we're looking at claims Iran has just deployed this thing in these super tough underground bunkers. But the real kicker is its speed. We're talking a flight time of just 8 to 10 minutes to hit targets in Israel. Think about that. 8 minutes. Okay, so you can probably guess how Israel reacted. The arrival of the Khyber, according to our source, didn't just cause concern. It triggered what the report describes as severe distress, even panic, among Israel's top leaders. And check out this quote. This really tells you everything. The source attributes this to Israel's army chief, and it suggests a massive shift in how they see the threats they're facing. The focus is now squarely on what Iran's next move is going to be. To really grasp why there's this level of panic, the report throws some pretty stark numbers at us. Let's start with what they supposedly have right now. First up, the source claims Iran currently has a stockpile of about 2,000 of these dangerous ballistic missiles, just sitting there, ready to go. And if that's not enough, it alleges they're cranking out 300 new missiles every single month. That is an incredible production rate. You do the math and you get to this number, 10,000 missiles. That's the projection for the near future. The source basically calls this a devastating, potentially game-over kind of threat. So all of this leads to what is really the central argument of this report. It's that for Israel, the quote-unquote red line has moved. The immediate danger from this massive missile program has supposedly become a bigger worry than the future threat of a nuclear program. But why? Why would thousands of conventional missiles suddenly become a bigger deal than a nuclear bomb? Well, the source makes a really sharp distinction between the two kinds of threats, arguing one is just way more practical and immediate. And this chart lays out the logic perfectly. A nuke, that's a final war weapon. You use it once, and that's it. The world as we know it probably ends. But these conventional missiles, the source argues you can use them over and over in different conflicts. They're a danger right now, not some far-off possibility. And here's the real kicker. The claim is that no defense system out there can actually stop a massive wave of them. And we're not just talking about random targets. The report gets very specific about what's at risk. The Israeli parliament, major cities, all the key infrastructure, and even U.S. military assets in the region, like aircraft carriers. Basically, all the critical stuff. Okay, so with things this tense, was there any way to, talk this out? The source says there was an attempt, a big one, supposedly led by the United States, to try and de-escalate this whole missile threat. So here's the deal that was supposedly on the table, coming from the Trump administration directly to Iran's supreme leader. It was pretty simple. Hey, limit your missiles so they're only for defense, make sure they can't reach Israel. You do that, and we lift all the economic sanctions, the whole lot. And the answer? Well, according to the source, it was blunt, it was quick, and it was a hard no. Just take your offer home. End of discussion. The diplomatic path was shut down, just like that. So, with that door to diplomacy slammed shut, you end up here, in what the report calls an impossible standoff. What else is there to do? And why does the source claim that none of the remaining options are actually viable? Well, there's always the military option, right? The last resort. And the report claims that Israel was pushing for exactly that, a preemptive military strike, to just go in and destroy Iran's underground missile sites. But another dead end. You can see it's labeled impossible. And why? Well, the source alleges something really specific, that a strike like that would only work if you could also take out Iran's supreme leader to throw their entire command structure into chaos. And that action is seen as basically impossible to pull off. So this is where it leaves us, and it's a really crucial takeaway from the report. You have this incredibly tense, seemingly unbreakable stalemate. Iran has apparently made it crystal clear. You hit us, we hit Tel Aviv, immediately and massively.
And because that military strike is so incredibly difficult, everyone's just stuck.
And that just leaves us with this one big, unsettling question, right? When talking doesn't work and fighting is seen as impossible, what on earth could possibly happen to finally break a stalemate like this?